Hey everyone, it's Mike the Accessible Traveler. Today I'm going to talk to you about accessing Walt Disney World with a disability. At the end of the video, stay tuned because I have 4 secret tips for you that I will only share on this video. Hey everyone, this is Mike the Accessible Traveler, your guide to the world. Sit back and relax while we share with you the accessible side of Disney. We will show you the rides, the shows, and everything else accessible throughout the most magical place on Earth. If this is your first time here, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified every time we post a new video. And also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm here with Susan and we're going to talk to you about navigating Walt Disney World with a disability. And for first-time visitors, this can be a hair-raising experience because you don't know where to turn, what to do, and how to navigate the parks. And I've been doing it now since 1973 and I've got a lot of experience in this area. So please, if you have questions, while this video is going on or after the video, please comment below. I'll be more than happy to answer every single question that comes through because we know that there are a lot of questions. So I wanted to introduce Susan and let her say hi, and she can give you a little bit of the experience that she's had to navigate the park with me because I walk with a crutch. I've had a disability all my life, and she can give you the first-hand experience from somebody that's with a family member that has a disability.
I can't think of any other place better in the world but Disney World. They are very accommodating. I know Mike has been experienced going to Disney World for quite a long time. I just recently, when I met him, started to go to Disney World, and I really would go nowhere else as far as amusement park or a theme park. They are very accommodating. They ask you when you pull up if can you transfer? Do you have to stay in? If you have to stay in, there's some rides that won't. You have to transfer, but there are some rides you can just ride your scooter right up on. They are just words can't describe how accommodating they are to the disability, and just being with someone with a disability is just. It's just very accommodating for me as well. They ask me, we hold this for you or hold the bag or whatever. It's just amazing.
One thing that Disney has done, they've been absolutely amazing. Over the years, when I started going in 1973, there was the Magic Kingdom, and over the years they expanded. In the 80s, they brought in Epcot and then the other parks. And what I found is early on, especially back in the 70s, they didn't have mobility scooters. I remember walking through the parks and I would be absolutely exhausted. And over the years, with technology, they've built, they're making, electric scooters now and these wheelchairs, and Disney has kept up with it. I will tell you, the Walt Disney World Resort and Disneyland are 2 of the most amazing places to go for people with disabilities or accessibility challenges or any type of disability that you might have.
Right.
Because they've adapted, they've stayed ahead of the curve. There's no other theme park that I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot, that has the type of access and type of services that Disney has. For example, Disney offers what they call the Disney Access Pass, it's called the Disney Access Service. But before I go into that, I wanted to kind of back up and go through a couple experiences I've had over the past 10 years at Disney. With Disney, there's been a lot of people, I'm sure that a lot of you see that have disabilities or a family member that's disabled. You have the handicap placard that you put in your car, handicap license plate, and it's being abused by a lot of people that really don't need to have the disability access to, grocery stores, malls, all these places. And everybody's getting these passes, and the problem is they're taking advantage, and Disney had to combat that because people were actually, for a while, they were hiring disabled people, paying them money to go in and help them skip the lines at Disney to get to the front of the line.
Was
And,
abused.
you know, they did the only thing that they could. They started restricting that, and even so to this point now, even though the the disabled placards are given out to everybody in the parks, you don't have to have a disabled placard, of course. You can
Right.
go up and tell them you have a disability, and they will make accommodations for you. But the problem is, inside the parks, it has gotten so crowded because everybody today thinks that, you know, they can get a mobility scooter, or they can grab a wheelchair and go into the park and be, you know, mobile within the interior of the park. But the problem is that it's overcrowded.
Makes it hard for the people that really do need it.
So they've actually restricted rides even more, because what they did about 4 or 5 years ago, I can't remember the exact year, they stopped giving you special access and letting you, if you had a disability, they used to have a special queue where you could go and basically get up to the front of the line and wait your turn and then go into the ride. But what they did now is, to combat all the abuse, you get in the regular queue line, but still people with autism, things, sometimes their attention span, they can't stand those long lines.
Right.
So Disney came up with another service now that it's working pretty well, but I've noticed my past few visits into Disney World, they're even restricting more. Giving you a good example with the Haunted Mansion. It used to be that you could come up to the ride and take your mobility scooter right down to this access area and get off your scooter, walk about 20 or 30 feet, and get on the ride queue, which was real nice and it was real accessible. This last time we went to Disney, we found out they had to do away with that because there were so many mobility scooters that were going into the parks now that it was overcrowding the queue area and they couldn't do it anymore. So now you have to park your scooter or wheelchair, if you have an electric wheelchair, outside of the Haunted Mansion area, transfer into a wheelchair, be pushed into the ride, and then you have to get out of the wheelchair and be able to transfer into the ride, which, you know...
He asked if I could carry him.
Yeah. I said, oh, well, Susan, why don't you carry me? But
The lady was like, "What? No, we can't have that."
So, a long story short, Disney's had to adapt over the years. They've done everything they can to make the parks as accessible as possible, but they still have a lot of challenges when it comes to abuse and everything else. Right. One thing I wanted to let Susan talk about is the disability access service that Disney offers.
Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about that. We found out about it actually in actual experience going on to the the Ride of Banshee ride. We went up and we noticed Flight of Passage. It's right. It's a Banshee, and it's my favorite ride actually. I really like it now that I've done it.
You don't even know the name of it.
Oh, it's a Banshee, Ride of Banshee. But yeah, it's Flight of Passage. A very popular ride right now, and it's hard to get a fast pass for it. So we were standing around trying to find out the standby lane. I think was like 105 minutes, and we're like, oh, it's hot, standing there. So we saw somebody else in front of us talking to the gentleman, and he was talking about an access pass. So we went up and we asked the gentleman about it, and he gave us some information. It was really good. He said that if you get the access service, you can come up to the fast pass lane, and they would give you a time to return, so you didn't have to stand there and wait, and then just like a fast pass. So, but he said the only problem is it's a guest relations, so we had to go all the way back. If you've ever been in Animal Kingdom, it's in the front of the park, so we had to go all the way back. And all you do is go to guest relations, and you tell them that you need a fast pass. Now Disney Access Service, DAS Pass is what they call it. So we're annual pass holders. So when you get that assignment, it's good for 2 months from the time of activation. If you are in the park vacationing, it's only good for the duration of your vacation. But they give you a time, so you can walk around the park and do whatever you want. You return at that time, and you get through the line and through the fast pass line. So so that was very interesting, and that really helped out a lot as far as getting in and out of the ride. So we got to go in there and ride a Banshee, and Flight of Passage. I know it's Flight of Passage, but it's Ride of Banshee, and I think it's quite interesting, the ride, because they keep you, they always keep you going with everything. They keep you interested while you're waiting to get into the, and then we'll bring that's another video we'll bring to you. But like I said, it was very accessible, very nice, and very informative for us. And now we know that, we have an access pass, and that we can, for 2 months, and, go back for another 2 months. But like I said, if you're vacationing, it's only good for the duration of your vacation, so.
Now, if you are going in, if you are a first-time visitor, one thing I wanted to kind of go over with you is you might have questions on how do you access the rides, and what are the challenges. As an accessible guest, like I said, I walk with a crutch. I have cerebral palsy from birth. I use a mobility scooter to get around. For me, I can leave my scooter, walk with my crutch, and go over to the ride. To give you an example, if you're a first-time visitor, there's some boat rides. Now, some of the boat rides in the parks do have wheelchair access. You can't drive a scooter onto them, with the exception of one. There's the, which ride was that?
Small World, you have one.
No.
Jungle Cruise.
Jungle Cruise. You can actually take your scooter onto Jungle Cruise, and they have a special platform. But all the other ones, like It's a Small World, you can take a wheelchair on, but you cannot take a scooter.
Right. It's
And some of the boat rides, it depends on your accessibility. There are handrails to get down into boats and to get out. So if you are able to maneuver to get down into the boat with help, they don't rush you. That's the one thing that Disney's really good at. Whatever time you need to get in. Some of the rides have walking conveyor belts, and it depends on the ride. Some of the conveyor belts will slow down for you. For example, the Haunted Mansion ride, they will slow that conveyor belt or even bring it to a stop if you ask them, and they will stop the ride, let you get onto the ride, get settled, and then they'll start it back up. There's several other rides like that as well. One big tip I'll give you is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. It's a roller coaster. Not many people know this. I haven't seen it on many videos at all, and I'm going to show it to you next time I do a video on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. But there is one car that has a special kick plate on the side of the car. If you request the accessible roller coaster car and ask them to knock the kick plate out, when you walk up to the roller coaster, they have a special lever that it actually kicks the whole side of the car out, so you can just walk on. You don't have to lift your leg up over top of the car to get in like you do a lot of roller coasters. You can walk in. It's a level walk in, level walk out. It's a very nice feature. I will show that to you on my next video. So please subscribe to this channel, because there's going to be a lot of tips, and also hit the little bell to be notified anytime that we post a new video. But those are just a couple little tips that we can give you. And feel free, please, in the comments below, ask us whatever you want. If we don't have the answers, I'll make sure that we find out for you.
Definitely.
Because this video series is for you, for us to show you how to navigate these parks. Walt Disney World, don't be afraid to bring a family member. No matter how severe the disability is, they will be accommodated. I tell everybody, everybody has limitations in life, not just people with disabilities. So this person over here, their limitations might not be as visible as yours, so don't worry about it. You're never going to see these people again once you come and have your magical vacation in Walt Disney World. Don't worry about the outside world. Just come in, be prepared, have a wonderful time at Walt Disney World. And did you want to add anything, Susan?
No, we're here for you. Like I said, like Mike said, bop the bell for the subscription and ask questions down below. We'll be glad to answer them all for you. Like I said, we don't have the answer, we'll find it. And if there's anything else you want to ask, just please ask us. Okay. And so that's.
Okay. Now I'm going to share my 4 tips, because I've got some tips for you as an accessible guest into the parks that I've learned over the years, and not many people know this. The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is, if you have a wheelchair or scooter, go to Walmart. If you don't have one already, buy yourself just a plain backpack. Okay, now this backpack, just a regular school backpack. Set it up so it hangs on the back of the wheelchair or the scooter. You can take this into the park. Now, you'll have to let security go through it when you get to Walt Disney World, but it's well worth it, because what I'm going to tell you is with that backpack, you can take in snacks, you can take in drinks, and Disney World, especially during the summer, gets extremely hot. What I'm going to tell you to do is, wherever you're at, if you have a freezer and your refrigerator, get a case of bottled water. If you're at the parks, you can have it delivered. It's well worth it. Take a couple bottles of water, 2, 3, or 4, throw them in the freezer overnight. That way, when you get up the next day to go to the parks, you take those bottles of water. And another tip that I have, it's not one of my 4 tips, is before you go to Disney, go to the store and buy a little fabric cooler. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just something that you can fold up and put in your suitcase. This fabric cooler, when you go into the park, you will take these bottles of water, put those bottles of water in. Another thing that Susan likes to do is take freeze pops. And
those are really good, especially if you have little ones.
Yeah.
And hey, I like eating them too, but they melt, but they're nice and cold, and it's nice
it's
to
like
drink.
Cold, refreshing Kool-Aid refreshment for the kids. The reason I'm telling you to do this is because a bottle of water in the park can be anywhere from like around $4.50. And if you have a family of 4, it can be a very expensive day. But Susan and I will take about 3 or 4 bottles of frozen water.
Because you could buy a case for $3.
Yeah, and a couple bottles of just refrigerated water, and put it in there. And it doesn't matter about the weight, because it's going to be hanging on your scooter or your wheelchair. And snacks, we take packs of crackers from the dollar store and other peanuts and snacks. They don't mind you taking that stuff in.
They don't.
You cannot take a big cooler with wheels on it. They won't allow you to do that. But if you have a cooler that you can put into your backpack, or even put on the floor of your scooter, something like that, it's well worth it. You will save yourself literally hundreds of dollars in a day. That's my tip number 1. Tip number 2 is if you are staying off-site when you go to Walt Disney World, you do not have to rent a scooter in Walt Disney World. There are plenty of services. If you look on the internet, we actually have some on our website, theaccessibletraveler.com, some resources so you can actually go and rent these scooters from companies. And you're saying, okay, well, if I rent one off-site, what do I do there? You have a lot of options. If you're staying off-site at an off-site hotel, you make arrangements ahead of time. At no cost, they will drop that scooter off right to your hotel, to your doorstep.
Yep.
And then when you're done your vacation, they will pick it up from that hotel and take it with them. So don't worry about it. It's much cheaper to rent those scooters off-site than it is. Disney charges, I believe, $50 a day for the scooter, and that's only in the park. If you're staying in a hotel, then you have to provide your own type of transportation from inside the park back to your hotel. So if you're staying off, even if you're staying on site at one of the Disney resorts, they allow you to have scooters dropped off. So that's a big, important secret tip that a lot of people don't know about.
Can I interject in there for a minute and tell you a little bit more about that, because we've experienced it. I think if you already do have a mobility scooter and you are bringing it and the battery's not very big, isn't that what you did that one time? You went into the park and you left your mobility scooter there, and they tagged it and kept it there, and then you took one of their larger ones for the day.
Yeah.
It's still $50, but
that was
don't
a
quote me
good
on the
tip,
price. I'm not sure if it increased or not, but
my scooter, Susan made a good point.
Yeah.
Some of the parks are pretty big. Like you've got Animal Kingdom, it's a large park. Epcot is huge. And if you're going to spend a whole day in the park, your battery will wear down, especially if your family does a lot of walking.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is you can rent the scooters at guest services right as you go in the entrance of the park. And like she was saying, I took my little scooter over to where guest services is. They tagged my scooter, took it in the back, and then I rented one of their scooters for a day. And if their scooter battery dies, they're going to replace it for you, so you have nothing to worry about. So that was a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. My next point, number 3, is if you're with a family member that needs rest during the day, or it's just a lot of activity, a great pointer for you is to stay on site at one of the Disney resorts that have monorail access. For example, if you can stay at the Polynesian or the Grand Floridian or the Contemporary, yeah, they're more expensive, but you get quick access back to the hotel. So in the middle of the day, or if you need to take multiple breaks during the day, it's easy to get back to the monorail, get back to your hotel. Now, I do know that Disney is getting ready to open up their new Skyway ride that will take, it's a transportation system that will take you to places like the Caribbean beach. So stay tuned. That'll be opening up, I think, later this year. So it's going to be connected to some of the resorts, I think, like the Caribbean Beach Resort, to Disney Hollywood Studios, and there's some other other places that's going to access. So stay tuned. We'll update a video with all the details on that here this summer as well. But it's important if you have a guest that needs to take breaks during the day, especially in the heat of the summer. On site, yes, it's more expensive, but it's really a good idea for you. Tip number 4, the last tip. Let me see here. You will go and, people talk about fast passes in the park. Well, basically a fast pass is, they have 2 lines. If you've never been to Disney, they'll have 2 lines. They'll have the standby queue, and then they'll have what's called a fast pass. This was Disney's attempt at breaking up the lines and making wait time shorter. So if you're in a standby line, you might have a 2-hour wait. But if you...
Flight of Passage.
Yeah, if you get a fast pass, which is on the My Disney Experience app that you should get before you go to Disney, they will give you a specific window that you can go back, and the wait time is much shorter. But I'll tell you, this is a good tip for you. If you get the Disability Access Service at guest services when you enter the park, it's good for the whole stay that you're at Disney. And what you do is when you enter a park, if there's a ride that you really want to ride, for example, the day that we wanted to go into Pandora and ride the Flight of Passage, Flight of Passage never has any fast passes, and the wait time is, what was it the day we were in there, like 2.5 hours?
I said 105 minutes, for the standby.
Yeah. So it's a little bit under 2 hours. It's still a long time to stand there in the heat, especially if you have a disability or accessibility challenges. So what we did is we talked to the person. That's how we found out about the access pass. But even if there's no fast passes available, as a Disney Access Service participant, if you go there early enough in the day, they will give you a time to come back. So even though people who have wanted to get fast passes and couldn't get it for the ride, most likely you will be able to get a time for that ride and be able to ride it. So that's a secret tip for you. And
all of your family can ride with you. And some of the questions is, they can ride with you as well.
Yeah.
So.
I know there's a limit. I think it's up to 6, but I'm not sure. But still, it saves you from not being able to ride something. But if you do want to ride something really bad, like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in the Magic Kingdom, or the Flight of Passage, or say the Star Wars stuff that's going to be opening up this fall, that's a great way to get a pass to get in to see it when other people won't be able to. So that's my secret tip for today. I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and please comment below if you have any questions. Like I said, if we don't have answers, we will get them for you.
Definitely.
So
bop that bell.
Yeah, bop the bell.
And like this video.
Like the video.
We'll bring you more.
Subscribe, and we'd love to bring more of these videos to you. So stay tuned, guys. Talk to you later, and have a nice day.
See you later.
Bye.